It should be, yep, I see the file. Yay, we are recording. Oh, I just realized I shouldn't, whatever. I try to keep the files from the previous week around, if only so that I can just copy and paste the file name, but they're just in the trash, man. I can get that back. But anyway, continuing Going Medieval. Cues are provided by Tinsley PR. And, I'm just trying to think. I do have some points to talk about. Also one that I don't have on my sheet. Yeah, last week I said I'd probably try to do the spend some time just playing, just having fun, and since Solo Empire 2, that did not happen. Satisfactory to me. Because it's like I'll just start a new game and get through the tutorial, so that way when I get back to it, yeah, that was like 11 hours in then. Yeah, because the part of the reason I enjoy Satisfactory is it does get that whole just one more turn kind of thing for me. So I'm just trying to figure out what all. Why does it almost look like there's snow on that? I mean, this should be the effective roof there should be stopping that. Animals in here, which could be warmer in there. Might also just be they like being near the food. What can I do to actually keep them warm? Okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Because also I don't want that too warm there. How much iron do I even have? Yeah, let's do something like that, because that should really keep things warm for them. You can actually. So that should appreciably warm it up. A lot of people happy. This one being off is actually not a problem. Because I want the fancy bed in there first. Which can I? No, because it needs that. Okay, they're chopping that down, which is fine. I usually try to talk to the merchants very early after they arrive, so hopefully that is the case there. Oh, I guess just one thing going back to Satisfactory for a little bit. It is pretty neat, some of the changes that they made. Like one that they did is you now have a interdimensional storage space. So you can actually have things loaded into that automatically, or you can, if you unlock it, be able to put things into it from your own inventory, but you can also access it from your own inventory. So anywhere you are, you can just have access to a reloading storage. So like for concrete, in that you can have something stacks constantly being filled there that you can then pull from. So it's pretty nice, pretty neat. I got this. And research? Why are they not doing research? Down, I'm not sure why, but up. Do that. I don't think there's any alchemy actually going on, but oh. Why not put it to use? Okay. So, What have I got for the notes? A couple things that are well, one is relevant to both PC and console. Nintendo is apparently suing the company behind Power World, which is, colloquially described as, so I'm just trying to get this set up. Pokemon with guns. So, I mean, like, that isn't necessarily good for them, but it's also, well, this is all weird, actually. It's all kind of weird. Oh, I can build one. There. Um, I mean, if it is just colloquially known as that, because I don't recall if they ever, like, in official stuff called it that. If they officially called it that, that would get them in trouble, the company. Um, but here's what else is really weird. They're suing of a patent infringement, not copyright, patent infringement, which is very odd. Because, like, why would you sue over that? I mean, if that implies then it's not that they're claiming, oh, these things look too much like our Pokemon. That's not what they're claiming. It's a patent, which means it should be something that's technology. Although, how many years ago now, Apple showed that no, that actually isn't the case, which is nonsense, but it's what it is. And for clarity on that, Apple patented. So copyright and trademark are both very, very strict. Okay. Trademark especially. Trademark is entirely very, very strict. Like if you have a logo that is trademarked and you change a single color in it, but the shape is the same, or even like change the background to it potentially, that may actually no longer be the trademark. I'm completely serious. It is that strict. Copyright is also quite strict. Not necessarily as strict in some ways, but it is also very strict. Oh, there we go. Sure. Let's. Wait. Is it this one? Yes. She can have that one. Because it's like there is fair use stuff with copyright as well, and also the whole, like, to use Pokemon as an example, some of the some of the original Pokemon are based on myths and legends and also real creatures. And it's like, well, myths and legends you can't copyright, and you can't say, well, I was inspired by this and I copyrighted this work, so that means that if you're inspired by that, you're in violation of copyright. That's not necessarily how that works. I mean, there are ways that that could still be a copyright violation, but I mean, it's like the concept of a dragon. For one thing, that exists in multiple cultures. But if there was a Pokemon that is, and I know there are Pokemon that are dragons, but if it were like, oh well, the dragon as described in just trying to think what would be, because it's more so the European dragons that have the wings. I'm just trying to think, are there any specific dragons described in like Arthurian legend, which is 1,000 years old? It's like if you made a dragon in a video game and there's a copyright there, but it's derived from that. If somebody else then makes a dragon that's also derived from that, that's not necessarily copyright infringement. So it is a little wonky there. Now, patent though is a bit looser. It's a bit looser. And going back to the Apple thing, they, if I remember correctly, they patented the trade dress, which is basically how the iPhones look, which was a rectangle with rounded corners. The problem is that while like a trademark, and also previously you would copyright the design, so it's like a rectangle is not really something you can copyright and say, oh well, they also using rectangle, that means they're in violation. It's like, no, a rectangle is a basic shape. You can't do that. But with a patent, you can. The copyright, no, you can't copyright a shape. Not like that, not a basic shape. But patent, you get that patent, and now it's well, that's close enough that I can sue over that. So patents are definitely different, but it's still what could the patent possibly be? I don't know. It will be very interesting because eventually that information will be made public. And people will analyze it. I know I saw one thing, but I didn't look at it because I have a feeling it was just speculation of what it might be, so I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what happens. And there's also, it's kind of funny because I heard one person talk about how, it's like, why bother with suing them like this? Why not just, buy the company if it isn't? Because Palworld has proven very successful. Why not just do that? And it's like, it's possible that is the intention as well. I'm serious. It could be that they're suing to work. It's like, hey, we got a problem here. Let's start figuring some of this out, and then say, okay, we are going to just acquire you as well. It's like that can be what happens, and isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it is also kind of a pressure technique. Anyhow, what else have I got? Yeah, so one thing that I saw, and I didn't write this up because it's just console news, but it does make me curious. Darksiders 2 is getting a new enhanced edition, but only for the consoles, only for Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5. I don't know why. And this is like new 4K textures, even ray tracing. I don't know why. And it's funny when looking at that from THQ Nordic, that press release, I'd forgotten that there was a teaser for more Darksiders coming. I think it did say this is separate. That there's still more coming. But that was like just an image of the Charred Council, which if you know the Darksiders series, you know what that's referring to. At least if you've played Darksiders 1 or 3. Darksiders 2, it's not really present in. So yeah, we will have to see what's coming, but it's like, are we not? Is this going to come as an update to the PC version for Darksiders 2, or what? But it's a little odd. Now it could also be. I'm pretty sure Darksiders 3 and Darksiders 1 and 2 I think were both Unreal Engine 3. Darksiders 3 was Unreal Engine 4. Unreal Engine 5 has more of the ray tracing stuff built in, so I could believe that this is them figuring we're just going we want to learn Unreal Engine 5, so we're going to work with an existing game that we already know, upgrading that, and they decided on Darksiders 2. Why Darksiders 2, I don't know. In my opinion, Darksiders 1 is the better game. You would also want that on these newer consoles. Personally, I would be the guy saying, great, can we rebuild it? What do you mean rebuild it? I mean, obviously we have to rebuild it going to a new engine. No, I mean, can we change stuff in it that's really not that good? I'm sorry, I don't think that some of the RPG elements of Darksiders 2, especially the whole gear and crafting stuff, I think that's pretty bad. Now, I'm fine with them putting that in. But, because they added that wasn't Darksiders 1. But it's like, we could do this better. Can we? It's like, I would be in favor of basically trying to, re-release the 3 games, trying to unify certain aspects of it, like that kind of stuff. To just have it be a bit more consistent throughout. Almost like, this isn't a good example, but it's like I've got over here, where is it? I think it's, oh, there it is. Okay, I just need to spot it. I've got the Metroid Prime trilogy for Wii, where, now true, that was just, they're all, completely the same genre of games. And it's also, the 1 and 2 were GameCube, and so they had to bring it up to the Wii. But it's it's a very consistent playthrough across all those. Even though it's been a while since I've played them, it still is. It's a very consistent experience. Doing something like that with the Darksiders franchise wouldn't be bad, in my opinion. And I think there is room, especially with Darksiders 2, to do something like that. But, I just had a thought cross my mind. So I had them chop things down. Shouldn't the saplings here actually not like the fact that it's winter? In theory, realistically, because it's winter, the saplings here should be at risk of dying. So I technically shouldn't allow them to be harvested in the winter, but it's also, that should be something that I can set here. Like, that shouldn't require me futzing with it manually. That should be something automatic. This stuff I don't think will matter, especially because I am keeping that warm. And I am keeping some of them warm here, but not necessarily as well. Anyhow. Yeah, so my hope with Darksiders is that we end up seeing 2 more games. 2 more proper games. I'm not counting Darksiders Genesis, which I still need to get and play at some point. Because I think that you need... We have the 3 games that have us War, Death, and... I'm trying to remember what her name was in Darksiders 3. Fury. And then there's... Is it Pestilence? Is that the name for the 4th one? I remember what the guy looks like, because you actually see him in 3, and then you can play as him in Genesis. But I feel like, okay, give us a Darksiders 4 that is Pestilence. That is that, and letting us play as him in this pre-apocalypse, pre-Final Seal breaking experience. And then give us a 5 that is all of them together with dealing with the apocalypse. So just to explain that, Darksiders 1 starts with War being summoned alone because the... Was it 7 seals? I'm trying to remember how many seals of the apocalypse. Don't quite remember. All but 1 were broken. And this is supposed to trigger the apocalypse. And with the 10th one being broken, well, the final one being broken. 7th. Yeah, no, it's 7. It's 7. With the 7th one being broken, all the horsemen are called forth to ride for the apocalypse, right? Which in the Darksiders lore is going to be a war between heaven and hell, apparently on Earth. And I'm not entirely sure what the plan is for the horsemen, like which side that they're on the side of the chart. It got kind of murky, especially into Darksiders 2, as far as precisely what we can expect for the lore. But anyhow, the end of Darksiders 1, War is killed, but he's killed by having the sword run through him. And he actually falls on top of the seal, breaking it, which actually revitalizes him, because the horsemen are tied to the seal so strongly that when they are broken, even if they are dead, they will be brought back to life. Because also, technically, Death at the end of Darksiders 2 dies, and is... So he will come back as well. And we do see at the end of Darksiders 1, War came in, and it's never fully explained why, even though the others weren't summoned, he was. Yeah. That'll work. I can do it, I think. So I gotta check now. Okay, so Rex is fairly old. And they have others, so yeah, we can lose Rex. I don't know why that would be the case, but whatever. Yeah, so it's like we know that, and Darksiders 1 really did set up a actual sequel. Here's where it gets kind of funny, though. Darksiders 2 and 3 have to be prequels then, because the final event in Darksiders lore, at least as I recall, I know there are also comics and such, the final event is the end of Darksiders 1. So give us Darksiders 4 that's Pestilence set before, or contemporaneous. I think Darksiders 2 starts after the start of Darksiders 1, but before its end. Because War felt the summon, felt the call, went, did his thing, was then captured and imprisoned for however long. And it's during that imprisonment that Darksiders 2 happens. I don't remember exactly when Darksiders 3 happens. It's also during that time period. I just don't remember exactly when, because it is after Earth is Earth is attacked and all that after the 6 seals are broken. But yeah, so do one for Pestilence and then Darksiders 5 that wraps it all up with the actual apocalypse there and them doing what they need to do. And it will also be interesting because technically with the final breaking of the seals, so part of the lore is also all 4 their powers are limited. Like this is because they should actually be immensely powerful beings on their own. But then because they are the horsemen, specifically, they have even greater power attached to them. Like the whole 7 seals broken, they will be brought back from the dead even to do battle. So they would be even more powerful, which is also a curious thing because the whole, well, how do you play it? How do you make a game where it's like you're already supposed to be this nigh unstoppable monster kind of thing? But there's also, I seem to remember with Darksiders 3, one thing there was that Fury did have some of her power unlocked for her because she was on a mission from the Charred Council. But as you played, she did like gain more power that was hers. It wasn't granted to her by the Council. It was hers. Which could imply then that, you know, in the future she will be even more powerful when she does have access to all of that. So, to everything that she's supposed to have. So, could prove interesting. We'll just have to wait and see, though. I think that's the one I'd like to get next. The distilling. Yeah, I don't know. And it is just as it might be that they're working on Unreal Engine, that they're trying to learn Unreal Engine 3, so they're Unreal Engine 5, so that's why they're doing this. But still, I don't know why you wouldn't touch Darksiders 1. Aside from that, legitimately, that game only needs like graphical stuff. It is such a well-made, well-designed game. You don't want to mess with that. Like I was talking about before about, you know, like redoing them and having like a single contiguous set for it almost. There's not a single feature I can think of that I'd want to add to Darksiders. I mean, it's like the whole RPG elements, nope. The crafting, the gear elements, nope. What it has, it is good as it is. You don't need to mess with that. Yeah. Alright, and that just, you know, the whole Darksiders 1 is the better game. I don't know why that isn't getting the attention, but maybe there's a reason. We'll find out eventually. Anyway, the last thing that I have is apparently Lisa Su, CEO and president of AMD, has stated that, yeah, it looks like we are a data center company. And the reasoning there is, oh, crap, hang on. Why? What the heck? Okay. Sorry, I just noticed I apparently only have one sheet. Crap, I have only one sheet. They have all died. That's a problem. I have lots of dogs. How the hell do I have so many dogs? I mean, I get that, you know, you get young ones, but still, that's a lot. You start culling them. I have plenty of chickens. And the asses, too. But, damn, I did not realize I was losing sheep like that. I got nothing. I cannot think of anything except for maybe I should try to make something warmer for them. I don't know. No, I don't know. Because, I mean, this should be warm enough. I got nothing. And it's also, it's not like there's any information given to me. Because it's not like, oh, yeah, I mean, it's not telling me something like, hey, it's cold, so it's gonna die. It's not like I have a heat range here or anything like that. You also don't have that for anything else. I mean, this game could use such a freaking overhaul of just make things clear. Fix the shit out of this. This is abysmal. do that. I'm not sure why that wasn't. But yeah, it just anyhow. But yeah, so apparently Lisa Su of AMD said that yeah, like half their revenue comes from data center and comes from the data center business, and that's been the case for a while. So yeah, it looks like we're a data center company, and it's like, and some people are reading into that a lot. It's like, I mean, they've always been that. I mean, that may sound weird, but it is true. Let me actually. I just want to see it. Are there any sheep here? Nope. Oh, there is. Try to do that. I mean, it's not going to work, but okay. I do have some that will actually try. Anyway, at least I do have plenty of goat. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's like data center's always been the biggest business for all three, AMD, Intel, and Nvidia, because that's who write billion-dollar checks. I mean, it's legitimately that. I mean, true. There's probably not many that would actually be like, here's $1 billion. It would be hundreds of millions potentially, though. I mean, it's like that's just how that is. Okay, so you're on Chaplain. Yeah, I just want to. Oh, okay. I can certainly do that, I think. Musical instrument shell. You're right there. Or maybe not. Might have to be something I researched still? Yep, right there. Alright. Finally gave me a reason to do that. Yeah. There's nothing here to suggest any kind of problem. Anyway. But yeah, so it is kind of weird to me that people are reading in so much to that statement. But it does potentially help contextualize the last week's lesson. I think it was last week about UDNA. That yeah, they want to better serve their data center clients. So by having a single unified accelerator, I really should say, because it's not just for graphics, it's also for compute. That unifying that will help them serve that. It will eventually swing back, and they will split it off and have gaming and compute. Because as I was saying last week, that's always what happens. It's like Nvidia and AMD always do this. It's just funny that they always seem to be the opposite of each other. But yeah, so this isn't too surprising, and I don't know why some people are, oh, we made it swing, cool. Why some people seem to be reading into this as a potentially bad thing or whatever. It's like, no, this isn't a bad thing. This is just them recognizing this is and admitting to it that yeah, this is where we make the majority of our money. So yeah, we're probably going to focus on that more. But it's also for CPUs, that's not going to be a big deal because they've had a unified, like the Zen design is unified across every CPU that they offer, from lowest end client to highest end data center. It's the same CPU, so won't influence there. It might just influence the spread of the where things go after being binned. That may be the influence. Come on. Now it's starting to take form. So speechcraft needs improved. How do you improve No, I mean, seriously, how do you improve that? Hmm. I don't think there is any way to improve that, really, aside from just letting it happen naturally, which that would definitely be one of those things where it's like, yeah, this isn't how you should actually have this. Because, I mean, it's not. I reject the idea here that you can have requirements on something that you cannot influence. That to me is totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate. Anyway, going back to AMD. So yeah, it's CPU. They've had that been unified for so long, it's not gonna make a difference. Wow, only half an hour. Ex, ex AI acceleration. That's largely a data center thing today, anyway. I mean, yes, you do have the NPUs and the CPUs. They'll probably formally add it into the GPUs, or more formally. I don't know how much of it is already there, but you'll probably see that. Oh yeah, that's actually one thing that maybe neat with UDNA, but come back to that. But it's like the actual like high end stuff there. That's data center only already, so that's kind of irrelevant there. So yeah, it's really only graphics that may be influenced by that. Um, and I don't necessarily see anything problematic there. I mean, yeah, you might get graphics might not advance as much as you may want, but there'll be other things. Cause like it was at CES. Who was it that did it? It was a company. Might have been Power Color, where they hooked up a GPU to an NPU, so something that for AI processing, accelerated AI processing. Um, and it seemed like it was trying to intelligently manage voltages, so intelligently undervolt the GPU based on the load and the content. So that way, instead of it running always at whatever the voltage is for a given clock speed in the built-in table, it would be like, okay, well, we can actually lower this some because we don't need all that. And so it did reduce performance a little bit, but it was like, yeah, we lost like, a few percent of FPS, but we also cut the power usage by a third. That's awesome. That's really awesome. So, yeah. We'll see what happens with that, because in theory, if they're unifying, then they're going to have those components on the GPU, which means then that they could also have their drivers start taking advantage of things like that. Yeah. Also, just remember one thing that I saw that kind of annoyed me a little bit. Because like I get what you're trying to say here, but I think what you're saying is also stupid. Not horribly stupid, but it's like, no. I saw somebody trying to say, I think it was on Twitter, that we might see SMT, so hyperthreading as well, disappear, die away, and that's a good thing. It's like the nature of how that works, and I get his argument that the nature of how that works is basically there's a lot of components, there's a lot of circuitry on your CPU, and you can have two different instructions that you could run on the same core because they use different components, different circuitry. And the example they used was like if you have something that is floating point and something that's integer, you could run both threads on that same core because they're not going to interfere with each other. Floating point is floating point, integer is integer. But they were saying that, oh yeah, we need to get rid of this because there's these vulnerabilities from this, that, and the other, and all. And it's like, no, there's really not much reason to have to do that. I mean, look at Intel. They have chosen to drop hyperthreading, but that's because of the E-cores. That they're starting to do designs that are going to be so heavily using E-cores that they can. And I just realized. Let's expand this. That they don't need that, but it's also their E-core design does alter the dynamics for hyperthreading. Whereas for AMD, because no, it's a single thing, and like the Zen 4 and Zen 5 C cores have all the same features, including hyperthreading. SMT. That's like, but it's also I think it was IBM is nuts in a good way, but they are kind of nuts. They actually sorry, I'm just gonna get that all ready too. They once had a PowerPC design, because PowerPC is an IBM architecture. My understanding is they once had that capable of like 4 threads on a core, like 3 threads on a core, 4 threads on a core. So they went even further with SMT than anyone else has. And I feel like the death of SMT should not be we're getting rid of it. It should be more of well, no, we're just doing a better job of recognizing, hey, we can run all these threads on the same core. We can make more efficient use of the silicon. That, I feel, is what the actual death of it should be, not actually abandoning it. Because it is beneficial. There are ways it is beneficial. So yeah, I just found that very odd. And who knows, maybe that's something that AI could help with. Like, maybe AI could better when the instructions are coming in, because there's a built-in scheduler on the CPUs, I recall. Maybe have some AI involved there, where it'll be like, hey, you know what? This can be we can be like, hey, we can put this to that core as well, because there shouldn't be any interference. And it might be something where, yes, you'd want AI there, because, I mean, it's like, but wait, if it just comes in and it can see that it's different, yeah, but it might be that one thread leads to another, in where it's predicting that, okay, the next thing on the next command, the next instruction we can expect here will be one that is, I just want to see how. Does that mean I got it? Nope, no idea what happened to that sheet. Oh, wait. I marked it as to tame. Why did it not? There, I want that thing tamed. Sure, why not? The retaliate is low enough. But anyway. Being able to predict forward that, hey, this may end up requesting this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I could see that, but it is, I don't know, that just, it kind of felt to me like somebody just making a prediction based in part to just be provocative, but that realistically not, that it doesn't make sense. Because there are benefits to it, to SMT. And I don't think we're at the point where those benefits don't exist or are not significant enough. Yeah. I think they were also citing the big little stuff with ARM. And it's like, yeah, but that's... I get the whole idea with something like something like Big Little or the P-Core and E-Core. But you were having radically different designs there, and it was, well, for Intel at least, where it's like, yeah, you kind of need to separate like that. You kind of need to drop the SMT, because it's already so freaking complex that's a way to solve a problem that you have, that you created. I'm going to try something. I don't know if this will work. Okay. Just in case this starts dropping saplings, I do want to cap them. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's like the dropping hyper-threading with Intel, and they're not doing it in all their products, only some. It's like that's because they made a situation that they needed to address the overly complex design of, okay, we have a thread. Does it go to a logical thread, the hyperthread, or does it go to an E-core? It's like that is so complex that it's like, yeah, they're just trying to address that. But AMD is like, now we're just going to make a much smaller core that's more efficient, not necessarily as fast, but we can put a whole bunch of them in. So the scheduling is much more just a, okay, do we want it to be on a fast core or a slow core? And that's it. That's it. And there's also no difference in instruction sets. So I feel it's one of those, but AMD's paradigm, there's no reason to drop SMT, none at all. But Intel does have that reason, and that's kind of the point I'm stumbling and repeating myself on. Um, yeah, just trying to think if there's anything else to mention. Nothing really coming to mind. I did see one thing interesting recently over this past week. Just somebody making the argument that AI is it goes back to the 1950s, and that we've had examples of AI for modern examples of AI for quite a while, predating things like ChatGPT. And the person made one technical point that's I was very glad to see, because he was pointing out how, yeah, some of those older AI, they were just a different form of AI, where it was using they're more algorithmic, whereas today, like ChatGPT and also stuff that NVIDIA is pushing, um, is neural net based. That's what the tensor cores in NVIDIA GPUs are for, and the XMX, is that what they call them? In Intel, and the matrix accelerators, matrix processors, I don't remember which, in AMD. That's what those are for, is the neural net stuff. But we've had AI for a long time that isn't based on neural nets. It's based on other things. So like one example it used was Watson, which it's huge thing. It was huge. I There's some people that may not remember it though, because what Watson allowed IBM, yes, IBM, to do was you need to understand, for a long time IBM was the world leader in patents. Okay, like every year it would file and get more patents than any other company because it was that active in research and development. But Watson was natural language processing in real time. So they put it on Jeopardy, because Jeopardy, with the whole here's the answer, give us the question, that requires not only a knowledge base to figure out what is being talked about, but also an understanding of language, because they do try to word those things to trick people. And Watson needed to be able to discern that stuff. I mean, it really was a very, very impressive demo and exactly how you'd want to do that. Well, that's not neural net based. That was based on a completely different approach. And it that's part of why, with Nvidia's focus on the Nvidia's mind share has succeeded in convincing people that the only way to um, do AI is with them and with tensor cores. It's like, no, that's not the case at all. But that everybody thinks that that's what AI is. It's like, yeah, only because it's mind share. That's it, and it annoys the hell out of me. And I've said it before, I'll say it again and again and again. I genuinely believe the only reason DLSS exists is because they knew they were unifying their architecture. They knew they'd be having, um, my brain just turned up. They knew they'd be having tensor cores in the gaming GPUs. How do we justify their existence there? Well, we can do image enhancement kind of stuff. All right, work on that. I mean, that is completely what I believe happened. Um, yeah, I mean, and I get how that kind of sucks, because it is like even touching on a conspiracy theory then. Um, but it is also, I mean, it's like that's legitimately how some tech will work. It's like, well, it's gonna be in there. Let's try to figure out how to make use of it. All right. Yeah, I think I'll stop here. Actually, I don't think I need to keep going. Um, and I do have various things to do today as well. But yeah, I definitely did like reading the thing because just the whole it is older and the point about AI is not just that; it is other things. There's many examples of what AI is, um, and it is a disservice to many to focus so heavily on this one form of it. And it's also kind of like how um, that actually would be an interesting thing to look into. I have no idea how I would find out how to look into it, but the I don't remember if it's a rumor or actual official statement that AMD's FSR4 will be leveraging AI. And it's like it would be interesting if somebody were to dig into that and find that, well, no, it's not that it's going to be leveraging AI, it's going to be leveraging a neural network. Because I could believe that it's like, well, no, FSR3 and FSR2, those algorithms are artificial intelligent. They are making decisions based on learned patterns and such. It's like that's entirely possible. That's just a different form of AI, but everybody is so attached to the idea that no, this is what AI is, not that it doesn't get seen that way. Um, but it will be interesting if they do that, though. Just the whole, um, how will it be like XESS where there's versions that work on everything, or will they? I don't think no, they can't. I don't think they can drop FSR being open for everything. I don't think that they can do that. I mean, it has to be open source because it'll be staying under GPU Open. They would need to change the name. I think it couldn't be FSR4. Um, but would it work on multiple GPU brands? I don't know. Although that's true. One thing just occurred to me. What is crap? What's the name of it? Microsoft with their upscaling thing. No, but there's something else. Their upscaling, the DirectX upscaling thing, is just supposed to be like a single API that will connect into the AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA hardware and their APIs to then translate. So it's like, one set of inputs will go in the right places for these different APIs, these different functions, so you get the output you want in the end. Trying to remember, was there also something? I'm just kind of speculating. Might it be that a reason FSR4 could be AI based is there either already is, or Microsoft knows that AMD knows that there's coming something unifying like that, where you can write the commands and you can send the variable, send the information out, and it will just be translated to whatever it needs to be on the GPU. Because that would allow them to do open stuff and potentially also allow them to still have special acceleration on AMD because the API on the AMD side, not the DirectX side, but the AMD side may be like, hey, yes, bring that to me and I can do real fast. So you could see something like that. I don't know. It'll just be something to see how it all works out in the future. But it's an interesting time to, be looking at technology. Very interesting time. All right. That's it. I shall, see you next time.